It's the SKOR North Twin Show.
Woo! Warm up those hands. Yes. I think they still have another move in them. Little trade.
I hope so.
Maybe a little signing. Doogie floated the Michael A. Taylor thing that he thinks they're still sniffing around bringing Michael A. Taylor back. We'll see.
Right-handed bat, corner, outfield position, please.
Okay, so you know Michael A. Taylor for you.
Well, I would like that, but I'm saying I think you desperately need to add a right-handed bat in the corner outfield too.
Did Soler sign anywhere? Is he still sitting out there?
I don't think he has signed yet.
Lurking?
And I wouldn't mind a starting pitcher too, but it's sort of a hodgepodge right now.
He's still sitting out there. Apparently the Giants are in talks with
There's plenty of guys
Jorge Soler. More of a DH than
who remain unemployed at this point.
Yeah. We'll see if there's a mad rush because pitchers and catchers report this weekend across most. For the Twins, it's this weekend. Most teams are like around this weekend. And then full squad workouts next week down in Fort Myers. So baseball season's like pretty much here. Mm-hmm. And our guy Declan, before we get to another chunk of our top 25 Twins of all time and a random Twin of the Week, Declan spent the entire week, now that Carlos Santana has signed, putting together two different variations of a Twins lineup versus left-handed pitching and right-handed pitching. Mm-hmm. He hasn't slept in like 72 hours, folks.
I am not kidding when I say I have been tossing and turning, thinking of different combinations after I have finished this.
Honey, you keep
I've redone this 4 times.
Kirilov or Santana.
They can't bat him.
He's going to get hurt. Buxton, he's going to get hurt.
Julian versus lefties. So where do you want to start?
All right, so let's do this. So let's do a lineup versus right-handed pitching. Keep in mind 2 things. The first time I did this, I had to do this with no Kepler and also no Polanco.
Yeah.
Kepler is now obviously back in the fold here for this edition. Obviously, Polanco has been traded. And by the way, just so I'm clear, because I was called, I believe, a doofus for the first one, this is what I would do. This is not what I think Rocco Baldelli will do.
Well,
okay?
yeah, you had Buxton. Didn't you have you had Carlos Correa batting like 8th or something, which was a little aggressive.
No, it's Buxton.
Now you had Correa like in the bottom 3.
I had Correa lower, and
maybe Buxton even further below.
What a doofus! Did you really?
Yeah, it's really.
Oh well, that's fine. And bravo, Watson. Great slam on me calling me a doofus. That's phenomenal. So let's go with right-handed pitching. Let's go with right-handed pitching to start, because this is the complicated one in my opinion, with so many left-handed heavy bats in the lineup. Okay. Versus right-handed pitching, leading off for the Twins in your opening day lineup, Edward Julian at second base. That has not changed. Mm-hmm. That will remain the same against a right-handed pitcher. Batting second.
He's a stud.
Batting second, I'm going to move up. I'm going to move up Royce Lewis. I'm going to put Royce Lewis batting second.
Let's go, dude.
Okay.
Assuming he's healthy, he's going to be the best player in your lineup. He was great last year. I'm going to move him up to second.
Royce.
And at third base, obviously, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Batting third, I'm going to give it to Max Kepler. They like Max here. Max spent a good chunk of the time batting third and fourth last season after in the second half when he was their most consistent hitter. I think they trust Max a lot here, and I would probably, in a perfect world, like to even swap him with a couple other players that I'll get down to on this list later on, but Kepler bats third in this situation in right field.
Yeah, if you're getting like the peak hot version of Kepler, he was carrying your lineup for maybe a month and a half or 2 months, and then there's other times
the
where
first half guy was unplayable.
Yeah,
correct.
But against right-handed pitching too, you're at least getting an advantage there for Max Kepler. Okay.
All right, batting fourth, Carlos Correa.
There he is. He's
I
back.
will move up Correa.
He's back.
Yes, I will move up Correa. Rightfully so here. Look, last year was a down year offensively. The plantar fasciitis definitely hurt him, but in his career, he hits very well from both sides of the plate, but he does deserve, I think, hitting higher up in the lineup than I had him the first time. I will bat him cleanup and obviously playing shortstop.
Yeah, I think you almost have to throw his numbers out the window last year. I mean, I don't think they were over-exaggerating just how tough it was for him with that foot, and he was kind of begging his way into the lineup more often than out of the lineup. So if he's fully healthy, you're going to get a much greater version of Carlos Correa.
In playoffs, he was great. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after it kind of didn't it break? It burst fully before the playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always a good thing.
They clinched. I think he sat out like basically a week, and then he was playoff Carlos Correa, who legitimately is one of the best postseason hitters of all time.
It burst against the Reds, and it hurts like hell, and he missed like a week.
I was at that game.
And then came back.
In Cincinnati. He came out in like the first
when
inning.
you were like right on
we
the
were
dugout.
literally sitting on the dugout.
Yeah, like on the dugout. It's unbelievable. Thanks for the invite.
Seats.
I guess Dex and I were back here.
The connections in Cincinnati, apparently.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite. Were you going to fly out to Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would have been. I mean, we all could have gone.
Thanks for the invite.
Thanks for the invite.
Hey guys,
I stepped on the floor.
Hey guys, I know the game starts in 3 hours, and you're in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, right now. But
I would have stepped on the floor. I mean, that's fine. Queen City. All right.
All right, batting fifth.
Yep.
Matt Wallner. So I had Matt Wallner batting second in my first edition of this, and I'm still on that. I like that idea, but I also don't want to stack too many lefty on lefty situations, especially when you go to your bullpen and maybe you bring in a lefty to get out of that jam. So I'm going to put Matt Wallner batting fifth. He destroyed right-handed pitching last year. Now, that was mostly in the 6th and 7th spot of a Twins lineup. That's where he commonly was last season. But if that bat is still crushing right-handed pitching, I have to have it near the top, and he's going to bat fifth and in left field.
And it is admittedly here, it's a small sample size of only 255 plate appearances, and the league will now have just more time to scout his weaknesses. But he had a 949 OPS against right-handed pitching in those 255 plate appearances, which is bonkers, and a 404 on base percentage. So, dude, even if the league catches up to him and he settles in at 70% of that number, it's still going to be valuable. Maybe 75%. Like, keep that OPS closer to 800. But yeah, if he can continue it, he's a dude. He's a dude.
All right, batting six, the newest Minnesota Twin, Carlos Santana, and at first base. So switch hitting Carlos Santana, but not really that effective the last 2 years against right-handed pitching. Not a train wreck by any means, but not as effective against right-handed pitching. However, he's still a switch hitter. So again, this kind of stacks up, not stacking up too many lefties and righties. So it gives you a different option at the sixth spot. But Carlos Santana would bat six and playing first base, by the way, too.
Yeah, you want that glove.
You want that glove.
I know he's 38, but he can pick it at first base. He had the highest, the best defensive runs saved plus minus. He was a plus 11 runs saved compared to average, which the Twins had the worst defensive first base plus minus last year.
Yes.
So this, I mean, even if he's not like raking in the lineup, if he can help you defensively, then it's a net positive.
Batting seventh, Ryan Jeffers.
Your guy.
Catching, obviously. Had a career year, most improved Twin award from last season.
Yeah.
Very good offensive player. I'm going to have Jeffers batting seventh in this lineup. Batting eighth, Alex Kirilloff, and at DH. This is the conundrum I run in with Kirilloff, Wallner, Kepler. You could make a case all three of those guys could be hitting 3 and 4 in a lineup. You really could with how well they did against right-handed pitching last season. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to Max Kepler because he's a longer tenured player. They trust him more. But when you look at all three of those guys, especially Wallner and Kirilloff's numbers against right-handed pitching, you can make a case they should be higher. But this is a logjam of lefty hitters, and I got to move someone in a spot where maybe they shouldn't be. So I have Kirilloff batting eighth and at DH.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not offended by this. Like, someone's got to bat eighth here, and Ryan Jeffers, I think Ryan Jeffers showed you something last year where if he's above Alex Kirilloff in the lineup, now the best version of Kirilloff I think is maybe one of your three best hitters, but we haven't seen that guy often.
Right.
Okay.
That obviously leaves a glaring omission so far. Batting ninth and in center field, Byron Buxton.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I refuse to put this guy in the top of the lineup. I did some number crunching.
But you're putting him ninth though.
I don't think it's gonna fly. I don't think it's gonna fly.
There's a certain level of like, hey, this dude's been around for 10 years and he's been their best hitter when he's been healthy. This is this is going to be you try having that conversation with one of the leaders of the clubhouse. Hey, guy, you're batting ninth.
Yeah.
Easy, because in your last 118 games since he made the All-Star game, Byron Buxton has an OPS of 730. And I understand there's been injuries. That is a league average player over the last year and a half. I don't care about the injuries. This team accomplished a playoff run without him.
So let's
you
say
have
he
to
gets
earn
hot.
your hold on. You have to earn your way up in this lineup. And if he gets hot, great. Move his ass up in the lineup. Until then, all 8 guys in this lineup are better hitters than Byron Buxton. Prove me wrong. That's fine. Go ahead and do it. But I can't put this guy at the top of the lineup when he has been a league average or below league average hitter for the last year and a half. Can't do it.
So if he gets hot, who moves down?
Yeah, let's say he starts the season the way that he has been for a large chunk of the last 5 years, which is like, one of the best power hitters in baseball. And it's evident after the first 2 or 3 weeks. Then where does he go?
He moves up probably 3, 4, 5. You could. I think the coolest part about this lineup is, as I explained with the lefty jam, even you could make a case. Every guy from 3 through 8 has a spot in this lineup. Like you could make a case. A lot of these different guys could hit in any of those combinations of lineup because they're that damn good against right-handed pitching.
Yeah.
And by the way, Buxton too is not like anything special against lefties. In fact, you can make a case he has reverse splits. He does not hit lefties better than righties in his career. They're about even. So until Byron Buxton proves he's healthy, and I will say, to kind of contradict myself, Buxton has usually gotten off to really hot starts the last few years in April. So he has gotten off to hot starts in April. He's gotten a hot start last year, but he then completely falls off the table with injuries or ineffectiveness or strikeout problems. He also, even with a guy who hits a lot of power, he doesn't work a count. He's not going to see a lot of pitches. So until he proves otherwise, I'm not hitting him in the top of my lineup if I had my stirrups on and I was managing the Minnesota Twins.
I think he hits 5th.
I was going to say I would put him 5th, and I would put Wallner in the bottom 3rd, and then split Wallner and Kirilloff with Jeff. I would probably go Kirilloff, or let's go Wallner batting 7th, Jeffers batting 8th, and Kirilloff batting 9th. And then if Buxton is off to a slow start, then you move him down, because there is you just listed off a lot of data and numbers and stats and spreadsheets, and that's all great. But there's like a human element to this. I think that putting Buxton 9th would have a lot of people in that clubhouse being like, that's really disrespectful to a guy that has been a leader around here. So I get it. And then if he gets off to a slow start, then I would say, okay, we got to have a conversation here. How does your knee feel? Now you're going back down. Let's do the lefties against lefties here.
All right, so leading off against left-handed pitching, Royce Lewis. I'm going to move Royce Lewis up here in this situation. He's my leadoff man, playing third base. Batting second, Carlos Correa. He destroys left-handed pitching, so he bats second at short. Batting third, Carlos Santana.
Ooh.
So I put the switch-hitting newest member of the Minnesota Twins batting third because he does do a lot better against left-handed pitching. Also, again, in the event that lefty gets pulled for a righty, you don't have too much of a complete run on right-handed bats here in a situation, so Carlos Santana would bat third. Batting fourth, Ryan Jeffers at catcher. Batting fifth, I gave him the benefit of the doubt here because, again, I don't want to go completely heavy on right-handed pitchers. I put him right here. Here's Byron Buxton. Here's Buxton batting fifth in center field against left-handed pitching.
Okay.
Because the lefties in this lineup, that they cannot hit left-handed. And eventually some of these guys, Kirilloff, Wallner, Julian, you got to figure it out, buddy. You can't be a complete platoon player for your entire career.
Yeah.
So I have Buxton batting fifth in this edition of a lineup. It's just not against right-handed pitching because it's left-handed pitching. Batting sixth, Max Kepler. I know he has historically struggled against lefties, but again, I can't just keep a lefty completely out of the lineup. I think he's the one that gets the benefit of the doubt against left-handed pitching to try to figure that out a little bit. I have Willie Castro in left field batting seventh, a switch hitter too, by the way, in Willie Castro. So it gives you a little bit of no stacking. Edward Julian will bat eighth, and at DH, he gets a day off from the field, but he DHs.
Oh, so DHing Julian. Okay.
DHing Julian. And Kyle Farmer will get the second base reps, batting ninth. I could make a case Farmer could actually lead off against lefties. He's actually pretty effective against left-handed pitching. But I would actually rather have bigger bats at the top of the order against a left-handed pitching than probably put Kyle Farmer.
Is there, and maybe there's just not, I mean, they don't have a ton of great right-handed hitting options, but is there a case to be made for Edward Julian not playing against left-handed pitching? And I say that thinking at some point he's got to figure it out, and the only way to figure it out, you've got to run him out there.
Yes, I think you have to play him.
He was, and again, small sample size alert here, but you can glean something from this. He had a 900 OPS against right-handed pitching and a 450 OPS against left-handed pitching. Really, like, he only had one extra base hit against left-handed pitching last year.
He's too good to be a platoon player, I think, though. And I think you at least need to examine that. Like, if he fails miserably, then it's conversation. And what you just said might be exactly right.
Yeah.
But it frustrates me at times, or it did, like with Kirilloff and Julian, where it just became a given that they wouldn't play. Because it's like these guys are supposed to be, especially in Julian's case, a cornerstone guy. Mm-hmm. So I'm with Dex here. I think you have to play him. I fear the Twins won't. I think the Twins might lean towards what you just said, Phil. I would lean towards what Dex is doing and at least give him the chance. And if he proves he's just awful still, then you take that at that point in time.
Keep in mind, too, they, in the playoff game against Gausman at Toronto, he still led off. That was a lefty. He can work a count to a degree. Of all of the Kirilloff, Wallner, Julian, left-handed heavy group, I think I'm going to trust right now Julian to get over it quicker because he can work a count and get on base a little bit better. So, yeah, eventually some of these guys just have to figure that out, though.
Yep, you can't. There's not enough roster spots to just do, like, line changes with lefties versus righties. You're going to have some guys that figure it out. So there it is. Yeah, hit us up if you think Declan is was it a doofus? What was the word? Doofus?
I believe doofus was the word, yep. Hit
us up on Twitter or the YouTube comment section. What would you do? Is this disrespectful to Byron Buxton to start him off in the 9 spot? Boys, let's keep counting down our top 25 Twins of all time here. So we started about a month ago. I put together this list. You guys are here to critique it and tell me if I'm an idiot or if I'm way off base. I did have a committee of 2 former Twins general managers that helped me. I put together the list, ran it by them, and they told me, actually, this guy might be, what about this guy over here? So here are the ones we've counted down so far. Brad Radke, 25, Earl Batty, 24, Jim Perry, 23, Greg Gagne, and Cesar Tovar, rounding out to 21. Bob Allison at 20, Joe Nathan 19, Rick Aguilera at 18, Chuck Knobloch 17, and the Rat Gary Gaetti 16. And then the last installment was 2 weeks ago. 15, Camilo Pascual, 14, Zoilo Versailles, 13, Frank Viola, 12, Torrey Hunter, and 11, Jack Morris. And now we get 10 down to 6.
All right. Hey, before you start, quick question, because this occurred to me after a Twins Hall of Fame discussion that we had probably a couple weeks back now. Mm-hmm. And correct me if I've completely forgot this, but I don't believe Jack Morris is a member of the Twins Hall of Fame.
Was he recently inducted?
I don't think he was.
Let's see here. I have a website pulled up here, Twins Hall of Fame.
I don't think he's in the Twins Hall of Fame. Because I've been trying to think, I've been racking my brain about like who could be next, who should be next. Not like, oh man, I just like this guy, but like guys that had the big cojones when it mattered the most.
No.
He should be in.
That's what I was going to ask you. Shouldn't he be? And I know it's 1 year, but shouldn't he be in? Shouldn't he go in?
I'm scrolling through, man.
I'm pretty sure he's not, and he spent a year here, and I understand there's a longevity issue as a Twin, but my God, dude pitched the greatest game in Twins history. I think we can say that unequivocally.
I think you're right, dude. He's not
Game 7.
in.
He's not in.
Okay, because I've been thinking about like Brunansky and Smalley and going through like who could get in next, and then it occurred to me Jack Morris.
It's Jack Morris, dude, and that's why I had him 11th.
No, I know why you did
because he was only here for 1 year, but he was literally, it was the most iconic pitching performance in the history of baseball. So.
And your whole platform in sports life is not longevity. It's what did you do with your opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate longevity, but
no, I know.
It would have been great to have Jack throughout 10 years.
Santana going off the Hall of Fame ballot with less than 5% is ridiculous. But Jack Morris, okay, I get the problem, but I think the problem is far outweighed by a postseason that was absolutely epic.
Yep, we should take this straight to Dave St. Peter. Text him, send him a text today, and say, "Hey, what are we doing? Hey, guy, hey." Hey, raise the payroll. Let's get Jack Morris in.
Hey,
huh?
guy.
Come on.
Hey, guy. What do you? But anyway, I think he's the next one. I think he should be next.
Yeah, let's get a movement going. All right. Let's count down from 10 to 6 now that we've gotten the Jack Morris. I think we all agree on Jack Morris.
Sorry about that.
No,
It just occurred to me.
It's all good.
He was high on your list.
Number 10, the big Canadian slugger, Justin Morneau.
Oh. Yes, and Morneau.
Interesting.
4th all-time on the Twins home run list. The 2006 American League Most Valuable Player, in which he started slow, but winds up with a 321 batting average, a 934 OPS, 34 homers, 130 runs driven in, 331 total bases. And it's funny because that might not have even been his best season. The first half of 2010 before the concussion.
Yeah, really sad.
I mean, go look at his. That was prime Albert Pujols territory. And Justin Morneau was the best hitter in baseball for the first 3 months of that season. First year at Target Field, he loved hitting there before that concussion. And his career was just kind of snatched at the age of 29. And he came out of it, wound up going to Colorado, right, and or Pittsburgh. And
Colorado.
And then he puts up some numbers, but he was never the same player after the concussion, right in the middle of his prime.
The power dissipated, right?
Yeah, he was never the 30, 35 home run guy.
Right.
So, and I think part of it too is like he had a year or two where he couldn't put in the workouts in the off season that he needed to. He couldn't do the weight training and
it's like Koski was. Same thing.
Yeah, both those guys. So Justin Morneau, number 10. Can we get that? I like that music. Can we get that music back? Yeah, let's keep that going. Gets me in the mood to rank baseball things. Number 9.
Yep.
Kent Hrbek. 14 years as a Minnesota Twin. And one of the key centerpieces of 2 World Series teams, 87-91. 10 seasons of 20-plus home runs. One of the most consistent offensive performers in Twins history. And second all-time on the Twins home run list. Kent Hrbek.
I consider this to be low. I'm very curious to hear some more here. This is
okay.
We're now this is great argumentative territory.
Well, I think so. Let's get to number 8 here because some of this gets into like I value peak greatness over longevity, but I would argue that number 8 on my list is basically the Kent Hrbek of Twins pitchers, just in a different era.
Okay.
Jim Kaat is number 8 on my list.
Okay.
So decade and a half with the Twins, just like Kent Hrbek, a model of longevity, just a really good player for a long time. 1966 was Jim Kaat's signature season with the Twins. He was an all-star, led the majors with 41 starts, 19 complete games, over 300 innings pitched. Top 5 MVP voting, too, for Jim Kaat in 1966. Gold Gloves all across the board. He also has the Twins single-season record with 25 wins in 1966, which at the time, wins mattered more because you were pitching like 8 innings every single time out.
Yeah, 25 is ridiculous.
12 Gold Gloves as a Twin. He pitched a complete game in Game 2 of the 1965 World Series, which the Twins won that game. And he's number 1 all-time in wins among Twin starting pitchers. So Jim Kaat. You want to fight me on Jim Kaat? You can fight me on Jim Kaat.
I think we should reserve a show for you when you do 5 through 1 and debate it after that.
Like the whole show just devoted to the top 25?
Like right now, I don't know exactly where you're going.
Sure.
I feel like this could be... I feel like the top 10, once you're done, could be a really good debate about like...
Sure.
Places.
All right, I'll say this, and I love Kent Hrbek. Love me some Herbie, okay?
2 World Series.
He had the big grand slam, right, in 1987.
Off Ken Daly.
He was not the best postseason performer.
No, he was not.
A 154 career postseason average.
He was not.
A 516 career postseason OPS. I think if he had been a little bit like Puckett in the postseason, okay, boom, we're talking about big famous Game 6, whatever.
But he was a glue guy. He
lifted
lifted Gant off the bag.
For sure.
The fact that he does not have multiple Gold Gloves is one of the great all-time screw jobs in baseball.
But he doesn't, and Jim Kaat has 12.
That's why that's why Sports Dad is here to tell you how he got screwed. Don Mattingly won Gold Gloves because Don Mattingly played for the Yankees.
Number 7, Burt Blyleven.
Okay.
So now we're talking about, okay, Major League Baseball Hall of Famer has to matter here too, right?
Yep.
Two stints as a Twin. The first one, he was dominant. The second one, he was more of a wily veteran on a team that went on to win the World Series. The Twins won 3 of the 4 games he started in the 1987 playoffs, including Game 2 of the World Series. Mm-hmm. All-time Twins leader in wins above replacement for a pitcher on the analytical side. He also holds the Twins record for shutouts in a season with 9 in 1973. And he's number 2 all-time in wins among Twins pitchers for the non-analytically inclined. All across the board, Burt Blyleven,
yes,
one of the most dominant Twins, 2 different stints.
Great curveball.
I figured you had 2 pitchers left, and I don't mean to spoil, but I was wondering which one was going to be ranked ahead of the other.
And that brings us to number 6.
Yep.
The most underappreciated starting pitcher of my lifetime, based on him being one and done on the Hall of Fame ballot. Johan Santana, I think, is the greatest pitcher in Twins history. Now, you could fight me on, well, he was only there for like 6 years, and Jim Cott spent 13 years, and Burt Blyleven had 2 different stints and pitched until he was 100 years old, right? But again, I value peak greatness, and for a multi-year stretch, Johan Santana was the premier starting pitcher in all of baseball. So let me go through some resume stuff, and then I want to give you some context also for why I think he is one of the biggest screw jobs in modern baseball history. So, 2 Cy Youngs, got robbed of a third. We'll come back to that. He holds the Twins' single-season record for strikeouts in a season with 265 in 2004. On the Cy Youngs, he wins one in 2004, wins another one in 2006. In 2005, Johan Santana finished behind Bartolo Colon for the American League Cy Young Award. Bartolo Colon beat Johan Santana in one category, wins. Johan Santana led Bartolo Colon in wins above replacement, ERA, strikeouts, whip, innings pitched, complete games, and shutouts. He was the better pitcher by a Grand Canyon gap between those 2 guys. If he wins the 2005 Cy Young Award, Johan Santana would have been tied for 5th all-time in Cy Young Awards. Only 4 other players have won more than 3 Cy Young Awards. Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson, Greg Maddux, Steve Carlton. He would have been tied with Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, Pedro Martinez, Tom Seaver, Jim Palmer, and Sandy Koufax. Hall of Fame across the board for those pitchers. So you could argue that by him getting screwed out of the 2005 Cy Young Award, that's the reason why he's not a Major League Baseball Hall of Famer. So, Johan Santana, the most dominant starting pitcher in Twins history.
What's weird, too, is he pitched for the Mets. I would have thought that stint with the Mets would have actually upped his
no-hitter with the Mets.
National value. Well, yeah, which completely screwed him.
Yeah.
His arm problems, because didn't Terry Collins have him throw like 140 pitches?
It was like
in that game?
like 145.
It was just something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah. So I know people are going, well, yeah, it was only 6 years. It was actually like 8 years of greatness for Johan when you count a couple years with the Mets.
Yep.
And again, I value that more than Harold Baines existed for 20 years and he got in the Hall of Fame. That's great. That's awesome. But nobody at any point considered Harold Baines the best hitter in baseball. Johan's a different story. So fight me on it in the YouTube comment section if you want. But Johan Santana 6, Burt Blyleven 7, Jim Cott 8, Kent Hrbek 9, Justin Morneau 10.
Okay. All right. Yep. I say once it's done,
then we can spar.
We debate it then. We spar more then.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's do a random twin of the week here before we wrap the show. Are you seeing ghosts there, Judd? Or...
Oh no, I was just checking something above me here.
Okay.
Quick.
I saw Judd's eyes dart.
I was also looking like off camera at both the arrays for Zeta, and I was like, "Is he talking to me? Is he talking to Judd? Which one is he?"
No, I was looking up at something real quick.
It's oh my God! It's the ghost of Camilo Pascual.
Yeah, he's pissed about his ranking.
So it's Declan's turn. Declan's almost 2-month hot stretch came to an end with Mike Pelfrey. Judd got Mike Pelfrey correct last week. So all time here, random twin of the week. Declan with 11 victories. Judd and I each have 8. The last handful of random twins: Mike Pelfrey, Orlando Hudson, Tony Batista, Matt Garza, Ken Hrbek. Declan will throw out a bunch of clues. We can shout out answers whenever we think we know. If one of us gets to a third strike, then that person's out. The other person wins. No Googling. Here we go.
All right. This random twin of the week had a negative WAR in his career.
Glorious.
Could be any number of random twins from the 70s, the 90s.
I'll narrow it down for you. This random twin, the most hits of his career came at Target Field.
Like in his career or like in a season?
Yep.
Like in his career?
At all ballparks, the most hits he had was at Target Field.
Okay.
Okay. That gives us a little bit of a time frame.
Mm-hmm. This random twin of the week spent time in the major leagues with just 2 teams. That also included 2 stints with both those teams. He went from his first team to the Twins, back to his first team, back to the Twins. That was his major league at-bat career, by the way. He also was claimed off waivers a few times from other teams, but in terms of the majors, he only spent time with 2 teams, and there was 2 different stints.
I'm going to look on my computer at the list that we have done of random twins.
So it was team twins and then team twins.
Twins, correct. Yep. I love Baseball Reference because it'll just tell you batting order positions in their career, where he spent most times at what spot in the order. This random twin spent the majority of his time batting 2nd, 7th, and 8th in a lineup, in that order.
Okay. Where we did that guy. I think this is wrong, but I'm gonna wait for another clue.
Whoops. Just knock something down. Hold on. Oh, it's my pencil. Got it. Okay.
Let's go to the Twitter archives. Jay Zolgad once tweeted, I think PMac21, this is the PMac21 days of Phil Mackey's Twitter handle.
We couldn't get Phil Mackey. Yep.
Took me like 2 years. It's crazy.
PMac21 just had his man crush on this random twin increased to the point where he can now spell his name without looking it up.
Is it Darren Mastriani?
Ah!
That's a guess.
Nice job, dude. We literally we ran into him at Bunny's.
Tell the whole story.
I was going to, a few months ago.
Yes.
Oh, really? I know he goes, Judge told the stories like he saw him at Bunny's for years and stuff. I didn't know you saw him recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's what's funny. Like Darren and I covered him. Like, and we've like chatted on LinkedIn and whatever. And hold on, Darren Mastroy. I'm just putting it in our database. Judd with the victory. Congratulations, Judd. Nice job.
Thank you.
I haven't won in like 3 months. My head is spinning.
It's very cyclical.
But we ran into him, and he had hit me up about something maybe a year before that. And so we saw he was with his family and stuff, and we saw him running by chasing kids like, hey, Mastro. Hey, comes over like, hey, it's I just said, hey, Phil Mackey, good to see you. And it was like he didn't process the connection because he was like chasing his kids. He said, oh yeah, man, good to see you, man. I'll be right back. And he never came back.
He never came back. He gave the old curb.
Just never came back.
I'll be right back. I'll come back and talk to you guys. And then he never came back.
Just gone. Poof, out of my life forever. But yeah, he was a really good base stealer before he had some injury issues. And
Toronto
I always
Blue
thought
Jays,
he might
right?
be a coach. Yeah.
Yeah, Blue Jays.
Toronto
Blue Jays, Twins, Blue Jays, Twins.
Okay.
Yep. Here's my guy. Congratulations, Judd. Nice job. Nice job.
Fellow SLP resident.
Yep.
Yeah,
I tried to avoid that clue because I knew you would immediately hone in on it. So
yeah.
I was
Good.
aware of that.
All right, that's a wrap on the SKOR North Twin Show here. You can help us grow this show by giving us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thanks for hanging out with us.